We on, Jim? We're ready to rock. Welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm ReneMarie, and we have Judy Marlowe as a special guest, as my co-host and the backbone to the entire show. We have a special guest on, Patti Foster, who had a car crash, and her story is very moving and really going to touch your hearts. And we want to thank Jim in the Village Connection studio in Long Island for all working with us and partnering with us and the incredible work he does, and for really believing in us, because that really matters. So we're really honored. Jim, I just want to let you know, at the end of the show, before you do the show that goes out, the video at the end,
Okay.
play the commercial.
Okay.
Can you play the commercial
Yep.
before we go out?
Yep.
Okay. So we really want to get to talking because Patti has a really compassion, a story that was gonna really touch your hearts. And so, Jim, put us on the screen because we wanna get to rocking and rolling with Patti's story. And first, I want to start off with how Judy connected with Patti. So there's been so many. Judy calls me and I got this one, I got that one. She's great. And there's no, she just shows book till September. So I'm not really sure the story that ties into Patti. So tell us a little bit about how you found Patti and really what compelled you to book her for our show.
Well, I found Patti on Facebook and I read her story and I immediately went into action to find her and to contact her and to share this story with the world. And it happened on a hot Tuesday evening, 100 degrees, June 18th, 2002, at 6:45 p.m. near Tyler, Texas. Patti Foster's life came to a screeching halt during a car crash that totaled her car and left her for dead, literally dead, and covered with a white sheet. Medics discovered a gurgling noise under the sheet, and they rushed her to a nearby hospital. Patti suffered a severe, devastating brain injury and was brought back to life and spent 101 days in the hospital. Acute inpatient rehab, inpatient transitional rehab, and outpatient transitional rehab. Then discharged to home, where she struggled and persevered to relearn every single basic function of living and to put it back into living color. Patti now travels the entire world as an inspirational communicator, sometimes alone and other times with hope after brain injury, a nonprofit brain injury organization based in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, and she is the vice president of that organization. And I'm very proud to bring her to our audience.
Wow, thank you so much, Judy. You know, Patti, you're a shining example of what we were just talking about on our previous show. Because by looking at you, you would never know the struggles that you've been through. You never know. No. So, and you were talking about really having compassion for people and really to be kind to one another, because you don't know what the struggles that someone has been through, and you are like a shining example of that. So yeah. So I mean, where were you going on that Tuesday?
Yeah, right. Oh, we were on our way to actually our last Bible study meeting before taking a summer break. I had just moved back down from Michigan, Indiana area. I was the morning girl at a radio station up there. I've been in radio all my life. And we were in a Tahoe, a nice, sturdy vehicle. We had our seatbelts on, good law-abiding citizens. We were completely stopped at a red light, intersection. All lanes of traffic were full. And so I was behind the driver, sitting right behind the driver. For whatever reason, I took off my seatbelt to turn and check on the flowers I had bought for all the ladies. Just wanted to give them a gift. Behind the second row of seats, and SUVs, you've got the storage area. So I take off my seatbelt to turn, check on the flowers, bam! That's when the impact happened.
And who hit you?
Yeah, it was a tractor trailer rig. You've seen them.
Yeah.
In the trailer full of cars. He was barreling down the road, highway 70 miles per hour, 67 to be exact. He plowed into our Tahoe, totally stopped. We were his brakes. Okay, so look at that. Look at that tonnage of, you've got a tractor trailer rig, a trailer full of cars.
Oh my God.
Barreling down the highway at 67. Okay, mathematicians, if you were to put together all of those numbers and look at the tonnage of the impact on that stopped Tahoe, it would be phenomenal that anyone even survived, lived. And so that's what stopped, or we stopped. We were his brakes.
So you say we, who else was in the car with you?
There were four of us. Driver, front passenger, lady behind the passenger, and I behind the driver.
And please tell me that everybody else survived.
No. Sweet Emily, who was the driver, her Tahoe, she and Clint were pregnant with their first little one.
Oh, geez.
They thought at first would survive, but after some time, Renee, no, it ended up killing the little one in the womb.
Wow.
With the front passenger, Heather, she had just graduated from high school. She was among some of the younger ones in our group. We were basically, our 20, 30s, 40, whatever, young professionals. And they thought, would make it through. Because of the impact of the seatbelt, it ended up rupturing the liver, irreparable. And her C6, C7, mine was fractured. Hers, it severed the spinal cord. They thought they could save her. They took her in, no operations, no lacerations. They worked on her all night through the evening. And that last hour is when the family had to make the decision of turning off the system. So our sweet Heather didn't make it. And it was months down the road before I was able to be told, because I knew I couldn't receive it in the coma the whole time. And then after learning how to live and breathe and swallow and food, in my mouth, nothing made sense to me. So it's a long time before I was able to handle that or understand that or receive that or process that. And then the lady behind her, lots of nerve damage, lots of surgeries, not able to hold down a regular job or anything on that regularity. So it changed from everyone's life completely.
Now I have to go in a direction that we will go back to the other direction. But I'm a very faithful person. I have great faith. I believe in God. Yes. I have to believe in God. God is the one that I'm sitting here because of.
Amen.
But I can imagine the audience listening saying, here are 4 church or Bible study women going to Bible study, and why did this happen? Right? There's no answer for that. And you have to have faith to get through it. It's devastating. I mean, I had no idea that there was 3 other people in the car and that had happened to them. I was just aware of your story. So that really is very moving.
Yeah.
And not only that happened to them, that that you were not able to be told initially because of it, because of course, you were in a state yourself. So I can't even imagine. It's devastating.
Yeah. And Teresa, I'm sorry, Renee, you'll connect, because leaders, how leaders, for me as a leader person, because I was a leader of that Bible study, but I wasn't fake. And I don't mean this rudely. I wasn't churchy, and I don't mean that rudely. But it was real to me, like you were talking about. Faith is real to me. It's not that game stuff. And through this, as a leader, I would have given my life for any of those people in that study.
Yeah.
I thought that I was the worst case. I had no idea, but my brain wasn't even able to process anything beyond that idea. But I know I would have given my life for Heather or anyone else And plus, I was 34 when the crash happened. Heather was only 18. I had lived a full life. I had laid hold of every opportunity, kind of like you and Detective Marlowe, and of laying hold of the moment. And then this happened, and I had no choice. But, like you said too, also for me, like you were talking about faithful, and it's your choice. And so it is. It was my choice that I wanted to give life, give hope out of this Hades that had just stomped on our world and just jerked everything away from us. So it was through that tragedy where my faith became more real than the breath I breathe.
Right.
Closer.
Right. And the truth is that your story shares with people how fragile life is and how in one split second life could change.
You never know. You may be doing the right thing. Everybody else is not.
You guys were doing the right thing. You were faithful. You were studying God. You were studying the Bible, and this still happened to you. So it's very, very moving, and really, brings a lot of thought.
Yes.
And to why. But that's where the faith comes in, that we don't know why. We're not to know why. We're just to hold strong, and you're living right now. You're honoring them by sharing the stories and I mean, because not only did it happen to you, but it happened to 3 others.
Yes.
And 4 others, because 1 was pregnant, and those families that they have, I can't even imagine the phone calls to those families, and the husband, he lost his wife and his baby. I mean, it's there's no words. There's no words.
No. How we need each other.
We need each other.
Faith real in those moments to help us persevere through, because there were many times when my body, my brain, everything was ready to give up, because it was such a long fight. Because this person that you're looking at right now, nothing like the person who was dead on the highway, with all of my brain and eyeball hanging out of its orifice, well over 60% of my blood gone, a heap of bones and flesh, as one eyewitness said, no pulse to be found. So it shows miracles do still happen. But what will we choose to do with the one we live? Huge.
So I mean, but you're using your story, and maybe, and I don't know this, I'm just analyzing that, because you are a leader, and because you know your purpose, and you will take that, and the goodness that you're going to spread around the world is really going to impact and make a difference. And that's what God wants us to do. God wants us to bring that message to everybody.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Yeah, he even gave me a motto months and months and months after the crash, after I began learning how to live and all the functions of living that I had to relearn. But the motto became, and so connected with what you just said, Renee, MAD now. Make a difference now. Because we never know how much time is left. Forget that. How many moments are left? Or wait, forget that. What quality of those moments we will have. So while we have this moment, maybe just like Detective Marlowe has said in Learn, what I say is hashtag, may we choose to lay hold of the moment, grab onto it, acknowledge it, admit it. And number 2, lean into the moment. May not feel good, may be bloody, may be wretched. Choose nonetheless. Lean into the moment. There's something to be learned, something to be gained, my character to be chiseled. And then thirdly, choose to live wide open, hands up, palms up. Live the moment on purpose. Because just like you said, Renee, I have a passion of purpose now. I have an urgency of living. And I also believe that, know that tasting death and learning to live again, that will give an urgency of life that comes only from that depth, that horribleness, because everyone has a story to tell, but we need each other. We can encourage each other. Just like Renee, what you've gone through, Detective Marlowe and ourselves.
Patti, were you in a coma, and for how long? And when your family was notified, what were they saying? Were they saying she's not going to make it? She already died once. We don't know if she'll make it. What exactly was being said, and what? Talk to us about the therapies you had. And
sure, yeah, I was dead at the scene. No pulse to be found. All of the right face is held, is ripped open. The orifice is crushed. The eyeballs hanging out, and a heap of bones and flesh. All my color is blood. They can't tell the color of my skin, my eyes, my hair, my clothing. So as the EMS, they're working. There's no pulse. So the white sheet is pulled over my brain and body. She's dead. Someone heard a gurgling noise. So when they started screaming, they contacted the second life flight helicopter, landed at the crash scene. The flight medic, flight nurse are attempting to put me onto the life flight helicopter. My body shut down into a coma. For 6 weeks, I'm a living dead person.
Wow.
I was downtown Dallas in Bumpsy, Baylor University Medical Center, now Baylor Scott and White Medical Center Rehab, the main one. After being there, after being in the acute hospital in the coma the entire time, 5.5 weeks, I think there. And then after being some 9, 10, 11, 12 days in the rehab inpatient there at the main hospital downtown Dallas, when I began waking from the coma, nothing came back to me. I had no memory. And my family said, Patti, they were both separate doing different things, my mother and dad, when they got the call. But immediately my mother said that friends of her from Houston drove her to the hospital. Then my dad got there from another route. And everybody was together. Prayer was going on, people talking, getting out the word, spreading the word through all the social media, calling, people coming by. They said the ER, the emergency department, the emergency room was completely full of people because all the families. I mean, we've got 4 people. So like you said, Renee and Dr. Marlowe and I'm sorry, Detective Marlowe.
Renee, she's calling me detective because I have a way of uncovering information.
Oh yeah, she's the best. She is.
Yes.
And I was an executive recruiter, a headhunter, so I had to seek out people who are very difficult to find.
So, and it showed how all the families were affected, all the friends were affected, and so a lot of people said I was dead at the scene because different ones saw my body on the highway and they saw the white sheet over something and they knew that was dead. They knew what that meant. 911 was inundated with calls. And I'd been in radio down in that area for a decade through all of part of Northeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana. And
they knew, the audience knew you.
Yeah, but yet they couldn't recognize me on the highway, so they had no idea. It was the Patti Foster from the radio.
Wow.
But the word was getting out. People were being told, they were praying, they were talking, they were helping others. And my family was told that by the actual hospital staff, the medical team, if Patti lives, if she lives, she will be a persistent vegetable. Not maybe, not perhaps. She will be a persistent vegetable. She will never see out of her right eye. She will never talk. She will never speak in a complete sentence. She will never be able to chew or swallow. She'll never be able to have any kind of a smile or laughter that she had before. No kind of a career, profession, nothing like she had done prior to the crash. They said, okay, to move her to Baylor from the acute hospital, they said, oh, they may be able to teach her to slightly move her right forearm. That will be it. She will be a persistent vegetable.
Wow.
Hallelujah. Miracles still happen.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
We need hope.
Never give up on anyone.
Amen.
No, that's incredible. We actually had a gentleman on our show that was in a severe car accident as well, and he has the same type of story. I'm just forgetting his name. I think his name was Toby. And when
And
he showed,
also Steve was on, he was in a motorcycle accident.
yes, and Nicole as well.
And Nicole,
So
he was in a motorcycle accident at age 16 and she died 3 times.
Yeah.
And she's a counselor now.
Yeah. So there's always has to be hope, because without hope, what are you living for? What do you? But I can't even imagine. So what happened to the driver of the
I pray for that dude often. He was in his mid-50s when it happened. He had caused lots of crashes before, never pulled on the carpet, no insurance. Everything was dealt with beneath the table, as they said. This one, the judge gave him 3 life sentences back to back to back.
Wow.
So things have totally changed there.
He should have had those. What they should have did was taken care of it initially, so that this didn't happen. It was a little late to give him 4 life sentences.
Come on.
When you're telling me that he didn't have insurance, he didn't have a driver's license, I think you said.
I think he might have had a license. I really don't know, but I know
he didn't have insurance. Well, there's probably a reason he didn't have insurance, and and he had other accidents as well, you said.
Yes. And Renee, for the crash, he had 5 different drugs in his blood system, talking in his cell phone. He was well known as a meth maker.
Oh my God.
Well known with the heroin addiction and the coke addiction. Well known. But for whatever reason, the law enforcement watching, aware, but not taking whatever that step is, whatever the decision is.
What happened after the accident? Was he arrested?
Yes, and given 3 life sentences back to back. So he is now there in jail. In fact, one of his ex-wives contacted me a few years ago, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't remember actually. And after one of the books that I'd been after one of the books I'd been asked to write a chapter in, she ordered one for him. And the way I know it is because when she ordered through PayPal, it told me the information to send it to. It said his name and his unit, his prison unit.
Wow.
I remember that one really fisted me in the gut. I was like, oh God, what do I say? Because I write, in a book, when someone asks you for it, often you write a note to that person. So
Right.
I was wanting to write a note to him, but it took me a while. I was like, you've got to help me here. I don't know what to say, God, because this man killed us. This man killed everything. What do I say to him? And it hit me finally after several weeks. Patti, let him know you forgive him. Just let him know.
Yeah.
You don't know what he'll do with that, but at least let him know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. And I wrote it in there.
Wow. Wow. So did you ever hear back from him?
I did not from him, but at one of the ladies' events that I was speaking at, somewhere in Texas, I remember one of the ladies later wrote me an email and said something about that book. And she said to me some of the very things I had written in that book. So that tells me there's communication that she had had with him to have even known that.
Right.
Whoever she was, I have no idea how she connected to him.
No. I hope you could save his life. I hope
Amen.
by that forgiveness, I mean, because we all need a second chance.
Yes.
And if he was on drugs, it wasn't the person that wasn't the honest, authentic person. It was the drugs.
Yes.
So as much as it was devastating for everybody at that situation, I pray that he finds himself, and maybe he can make a difference
Amen.
maybe he could help others, maybe he could write a book, maybe he could just something to get the word out about the use of drugs and how he affected so many lives.
Yes.
Because
yes.
like you said before, it's what we do with what happens.
Exactly. Choices, what we choose to do with it.
Wow.
Yes.
That's so powerful, Patti. So powerful. So what did your radio audience, once they found that it was you?
Oh, yeah. They covered the scene. I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you for my parents, for my family. When I found this out, of course, way down the line. But the radio family down south, the radio family up north, everyone came together, just reaching out how they could help, how they could pray, what they could bring, and so many would bring coupons, or certificates or restaurant things, for my family, because they were always at the hospital, and from early in the morning until late at night, and always there in the waiting room. And so they were inundated with people. In fact, they moved them from one floor to another floor where it was a lot larger for, waiting room, because so many people were there. And for not just me, but late that night, all through that evening, for Heather's family, she was the front passenger who died in the crash. For Emily, she was the driver who was pregnant. For Cindy, who had the nerve damage. And then for me. And so the place was covered with people and radio listeners, and so many people that I'd met, because, life is about relationships.
Yeah.
You've got to invest in
Yeah.
others. And, you got to give the love, but you got to receive the love too. It's got to be both ways.
Yeah.
And
so how many operations did you have? And at what point were you able to see again? And at what point, what kind of therapies did you have?
Yeah. And I'm not sure how many surgeries exactly. Therapies, it was, I went through visual therapy. I had to wear the patch for months. And speech therapy, I had to learn ABCs again. I did not remember any of them. How to write, ABC, I didn't even know them. And then how to write lowercase, how to write capital, how to read them, how to speak. All the speech therapy, all the physical therapy, all the cognitive therapy. I'm sure there's more. I just can't remember it all.
How long before you could walk?
Yeah, months and months. But I remember the the first time that my family, I remember one of the first times, and I still had to wear the gait belt, around your waist and everything.
Right.
And it had the walker. And it was, I don't know how many months before I took that first step. My parents saw me, and it was at the inpatient transitional rehab. So when that started however many, 3, 4, 5 months down the road. And when they saw me that first time, they just freaked out because they
I
thought
can't even imagine.
someone had let me go. They weren't watching me. And they told me, they said, Patti, you were so monotone voice then, and so soft and slow speaking. But somehow you said to us, it's all right. And so you were barely being able to move, and the coordination was barely coming back, but I wasn't giving up. And I had good therapists and doctors to come alongside me to help me not give up.
Wow. What were you like prior to your accident? Were you driven? Were you focused? I know you were a leader, but were you like driven and focused? And because the reason I'm asking is because sometimes preparation in life sets you up for success, sometimes, all the time. So even in the backdrop of a person, people don't know why they're in jobs or positions or doing things that they will need in their future. So I'm just curious, what was your personality before your accident?
Mm-hmm. You were very spot on when you said what you did about driven and focused. I was a very full of life person. I loved God before, I knew God before, but after I tasted death, I went even deeper.
Me too.
Because I was a mover and shaker. I loved people. I loved doing things. I was always out and about. So just like you said, how God used that, he chiseled me before, my character before, my personality before, so that when death came and I had to truly persevere over a long period of time, to help me keep going, how he used that from the past or before to impact the future, the next steps. And through that relationship that became so real to me of like I said, it's not just that going through the motion stuff. And sure, I know church is good for people, and I don't mean that rudely, but I mean realistically.
Well, you have to, in anything you do, if it's just on the surface, it's not going to do you any good. It's not going to, you have to get deep into anything you're doing, anything to be fully successful. That's why I can only speak about myself. When I do something, I go 150%.
Yes.
Like
I agree.
There's nothing because I know I've learned, and I have a relationship with God. I don't only know God, I have a relationship with God. And what he asks me to do, he knows that I'm going to go above and beyond and do everything I can, even if people don't know it.
Yes.
Because people don't need to know what I'm doing. The only person or the only entity that needs to know what I'm doing is God.
Yes.
That's it, Now,
Renee, when she had her stroke and she was in a coma, she saw God. Did you have an experience like that, Patti?
Yes. And Renee did too?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Were you in a crash as well, Renee?
No, I was on the softball field and I had a stroke.
Yes.
So I was walking across from third base to the first base dugout, and I went down, and my body was lifted up, and I had a conversation with God.
Yes.
And I said, please don't take me. Because I'm like you, I have a lot of life,
Yes.
And
said,
she
"Please
had
don't
just
take
given
me."
birth 6 months before to her daughter.
So I said to God, please don't take me. I don't want to go. He said, I don't want to take you. I'm not ready. I just want you to always remember you have to work for me. Okay, I said, put me back down in my body. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. And it hasn't been easy. He never asks easy things.
Patti, what was your experience?
Oh, yeah. Because for me, I remember you saying to me, not yet, Patti. It's not your time. And I remember him touching me right there on my left elbow. And I remember he was to my left. And I remember him touching me, but not grabbing me, not even putting his fingers around me, but just touching me. And I remember all the colors I saw and all the blues. I remember how he led me through. It was like I could see the double doors of an ER operating room, and how he took me through. We didn't walk, we didn't run, we didn't touch the door, we didn't open it, we weren't down, we weren't up, we're just through. And I remember he went down this long hall, and I remember these huge pillars, and they started getting just wider and wider, and then shoo, I'm back. And I'll never forget that. And so from there, and how God helps me, for me, my personal relationship that I have with God through Jesus, that's for me, carries me through, or empower or strengthens me to take the next step or do the next thing, or just like, and I have to bawl, I have to cry, and that's okay. It's like, Patti, let it out. Don't hold it in. And how he teaches me through that to just let down and be real, and just let him meet me where I am, to love me through something. And with my family, and just all the situations that we come into contact with in life that we don't necessarily see coming. I mean, just like when you had the stroke, didn't see that one coming.
No.
When that dude was about to plow into us, we didn't see that one coming.
No.
However, we chose. God helped us choose. And what a difference that truly can make eternally.
Yeah.
Patti, Renee has one book out called Stroke of Luck, because she felt it was a stroke of luck that she was able to come back and all that. You mentioned something that's very close to her title of her next book, which is Loving the Person Through It.
Amen.
And she's also doing an extra inning. She feels she has an extra inning, as you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A second chance, or whatever, He says, okay, let's lay hold of this, of what has ripped you into shreds. Okay, in the Bible, it's the first book of the Bible, in Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, basically says, what the evil one intended for harm, God meant for good, for the saving of many lives, as is being done. So give away that hope, that we don't keep it to ourselves, like you're doing, like all of you are doing. Giving it away to bring life, bring hope. Don't give up. Sure, it's fine to press pause, but don't quit. Don't stop. Stay with God. Don't quit. Take heart. Be encouraged.
Yeah.
There's hope. There's hope.
And the other thing is, the way you spend time with other people, you also need to spend time with God by yourself, so that you could listen to him and get guidance and direction. That's one thing that I have learned in my life, that it's really important to. I'll never forget, I was singing Let There Be Peace on Earth for Mary Help of Christians, and it's the Salesian sisters. I adopted Sister Grace for the Salesian sisters. Anyway, sister, I forget her name. I was going to rehearse with Sister Marianne, and we walk in the church, the chapel, and we kneel down, and sister says to me, let's kneel down, say hello to, hello to Jesus and to Mary and to God. And I said, okay, so we kneel down. Anyway, I go and rehearse. We come back and I kneel down again. And she says, what are you doing? I says, I'm going to say goodbye to Jesus. She goes, he never leaves you.
Ooh.
He never leaves
I
you.
love that.
And I'm like, oh, I thought I was being so good by wanting to say goodbye, like beat her to it. She's like, no, he never leaves us. I'm like, oh. I'm like, okay. I never forget that. I never forget that.
That's a good one.
Exactly. And through my coma, exactly like you said, he was more real to me in my coma than my speaking to you, with you right now. Closer, more real.
Well, I think I from a spiritual standpoint, I was in a semi-coma for a week. I wasn't in a coma, but I wasn't aware. I wasn't like there. I wasn't there for my family. And I was saying in the last show that like Saturday, my stroke happened on a Saturday, I guess on Friday or something, almost a week later. I gave them a call. I couldn't talk to them, but I was calling them. They're like, oh my God, she's alive. I forget where I was going with that. What were we talking about before? What were we talking about?
Well, the presence of God in your life and that he's always with you. And he never leaves you, so you don't have to say goodbye. You wanted your family to know that you're okay, even though you couldn't really talk clearly.
Yeah, I forget
going through
reason.
aphasia at that point.
Yeah, I forget what my purpose for saying that was, but it is true that we have to have faith and really be authentic to ourselves and take the time. And I've learned, like, as long as you have God in your life, as long as you have faith, you can get through anything. And prayer is so powerful. All those people that were praying for you, all your audience, everybody really had you in their prayers, and praying at the same time adds power to it, you know?
Definitely.
Yes. In fact, I just crossed the 19th anniversary day. One of my friends calls it a rec-aversary instead of anniversary. June 19th.
Wow.
I'm sorry. June 18th was my 19th year. That was the rec-aversary. June 18th, 2002 is when it happened. And so just walked through that and continuing to reach out, like we said, about hope. Now one of my dear friends who's become like a sister to me, she has really taken brain injury on. And she's like, Patti, I know I will be doing this the rest of my life.
Are you talking about Cindy?
Dr. Dina Adams.
Oh, okay.
Who is the founder and president of Hope After Brain Injury.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
So, and what does she have a reason for being in it aside from you, or?
She is just she said through the inspiration of my story, and that is what so connected with her. And then when she was getting her degree, one of the professors, the doctors who was over her, studying the whole case thing, really didn't, believe that much in brain injury and the need and such about hope and things. But then just a wee bit beyond, this professor's husband suffered a stroke, brain injury, needed Dina, Dr. Adams. So look how things happen.
Wow.
Like the song that you were playing at the top of the program of how, things happen, but they come together and they're so woven, the tapestry, the threads of our lives.
Okay, so now you know what I need.
Speak.
I need you to contact or give me contact information for Deanna Adams.
Okay, great.
Because,
Dr. Adams. Yeah.
Yes, because there's at least two avenues that we could talk to her about: her husband's stroke and what she's doing in educating about brain injuries.
Right, right. And the stroke was actually to her professor's husband instead of her husband, actually.
Oh,
But
okay.
Dr. Dina, it looks like Deanna, but it's actually Dina, Dr.
Okay.
Dina H. Adams. But I will definitely give you her contact.
And also the professor. Let's get him involved too if we can, or his family.
Yeah.
I'm always listening for new.
Yes.
But it's, you know, it's important to hear these stories and connections, because we, like we said, we all have a story, and we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to get their story out to the world. And because there may be somebody that needs to hear their specific story, because each story is unique. And there's somebody out in the world that needs to hear. What are you doing now, Patti? Like, I know you're traveling around the world, but specifically, like, what's your goal? What's your vision? What's your passion? What's in your heart?
Well, even right now, it's very strong in me of just speaking out to that person, that individual who is wanting to give up, who is contemplating, planning, giving up, because their hope has been snatched from them and they don't know what to do. So I specifically speak and want to connect to that person, to call on God, just say his name out, and he will help. Ask for help. Ask for help. Receive help. Talk with someone. Journal. Journal. If there's no one to talk with, there's a counselor you can't afford, get a journal, get a notebook, get a piece of paper, get something, and write. Just write what you're thinking, write what you're feeling, write what you're going through, write what your anger, write your tears, write your happiness, write, journal, get it out. Then,
and you should write what you want the outcome to be. That's really important. It's really important to get out what's in your heart, but also to put down what you want to change in your life.
yes.
Like you have all these, we understand, we totally get all these difficulties. And it won't cost you anything, doesn't hurt you to say, what would you want your story to be? Rewrite your story, right? That's what they always say. Rewrite your story. What would you want to happen? Because that's very powerful, powerful to write down what it is that you want to see in your life, and to really keep going back to that, and to view that, and to visualize that, because we can make anything happen in our lives by visualizing and by creating it to happen. And then we have to listen to God in the direction to lead us there.
Exactly. And how did he do that in your life? Like, he reminded you of what you were wanting to be and going toward.
Yeah. I it took me, I had that conversation with him, but I needed to be put back down in my body and to really go through the trials and tribulations. And I talk about it like an onion. I really needed to peel back the layers of those onions and get rid of all the difficulties, all the childhood difficulties, all the childhood challenges, all the childhood traumas that I've had in my life, so that I could be pure and say, okay, I'm here. How do you want to use me? What do you want to do with me? What can I do for you? And we were saying in the last show how important it is to give more than receive. You need to receive, but you get what you give in your life, right? So if you give goodness, if you give love, it will come back, except you are correct in the fact that you have to accept it as well. Because I had difficulties with that, accepting goodness to come in my life, right? I had this trauma fear from my stroke that I didn't know that I was worthy of it, right? And that came from, I don't want to say my upbringing, but portion of my upbringing. And then I had a stroke, so I didn't feel that I was worthy of the love that was around me. So I work on my end, I work on accepting the goodness and the love into my life. But there's so many, but I absolutely can with certainty say that if you do your work, if you do continue to work on those specific plans with God, that things will and definitely will get better. Definitely will get better.
What you said reminds me of an acrostic that I've written over the word thrive, THRIVE, and it's hit me. And so it's like Patti Foster, pay attention and do this, and thrive, T, try again, ... and don't give up. H, have faith in God even when it makes no sense.
That's a big one.
R, receive love and give love. We just talked about. I, intentionally let your audio match your video. Ooh, what we say and do. V, very steadfastly be about what matters. E, endure adversity ... and do the next thing.
Wow.
Those are words.
Can you go over that one more time, just the key
Sure.
words? I want to write it down.
Okay. T, try again ... and don't give up.
Okay.
H, have faith in God even when it makes no sense.
Okay.
R, receive love and give love.
Okay.
I, intentionally let your audio match your video. But they hear with what you do. V, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. V, very steadfastly be about what matters. Very steadfastly be about what matters.
Okay.
E, endure adversity ... and do the next thing.
Very good. I think that's going to help a lot of people, and that's why I wanted to also write it down, but that's a very important message, and to say it twice and emphasizes how important what you're saying is.
Amen. Amen. I agree completely.
Patti, can you believe it's been an hour we've been chatting, and I didn't think we were going to make it this far because I felt bad for you because you were standing. So I'm like, oh, maybe we'll do a half an hour because I don't want her to stand. And an hour has flown by.
Already?
But by just listening to your story has really been very touching and very moving. I mean, it really is incredible.
I told you, Renee, it was a very powerful story.
It's a powerful story, and it's the blessing that it's on a Sunday, because
Yes.
Sundays are a good day to spread some hope and joy and stuff. I'm going to let you have the last few words to bring some hope to those that are listening. So take it away, Patti.
Yes. Awesome. Well, right off, big thanks to connecting with you, Renee, Detective Marlowe, our son, and everyone, because it's so vitally important to live, not just talk about, of truly laying hold of the moment. So even right now, for whoever might be dealing with a really tough situation that they're facing, or there's a really tough decision that they're trying to make, I urge you firsthand from my gut, from my own life, may you choose to be vulnerable in the hands of God. He will take care of you. Hope will carry you. Hope will see you through. Hope will come on the scene when you least expect it. Trusting God is not a wrong decision. It's not out of line. It may be beyond what makes sense, but hope matters. May we each choose to be the hope, to help someone take that next step or that next breath. Forget the step, just to breathe. That's huge, huge. So I cheer everyone on, and especially I cheer on Renee and Detective Marlowe and our Sandu.
It's been a pleasure, Patti. It really was an honor and privilege to meet you through Judy. And thank you, Judy, for doing your detective work. And thank you for Jim back in the Long Island studio for
Thank you, Jim.
Yes, for everything he does for us. I hope you'll come back on again, Patti. I hope you'll come back on again
we could do a prayer show with her. You're welcome to come back to our telethon on October 3rd, or to video a recording if you're elsewhere in the world, because I know you travel. And don't forget, I need Deanna Adams' contact information.
Okay. And may I give my email stuff so they can shoot me an email?
Absolutely, positively.
Okay. It is simply, my website is my name, pattifoster.com. PATTIFOSTER.com. My email, info@pattifoster.com, short for information. Also, I'm VP, like Detective Marlowe said, of Hope After Brain Injury. Their website, hopeafterbraininjury.org. I would love to hear from you, or how I can pray. Whatever blows you have back, count me in.
Thank you, Patti. Thank you so much. We're going to end it right there. And we always blow our kisses on 3. And Jim, don't forget to show the coupon video before you roll it out. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Mwah.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
God bless you all.
This was a blessing. This was a blessing.
Afford your customers a great way to save hundreds of dollars. Be a part of the latest and most innovative way to promote your business just for showing your phone. Get the attention your business deserves. It's Village Coupons. All across the United States, any business in any city can offer this outstanding deal to their consumers. It's simple. Either go to the store or go online and present the coupon and receive outstanding savings on everything from fashion to fitness, from pets to propane and health to home furnishings. This progressive web app is search engine optimized, social media friendly, gives you the ability to call the customer from the coupon, and gives the customer a map to easily find your location. It also provides a link to your business site, a shelf life of 24/7, 365, daily emails and shares, and there are no boundaries. So, what more could you ask? The annual subscription is very reasonable, and a substantial discount is available for the first 50 businesses per town. So, don't miss out on this fantastic way to promote your business to the next level. What are you waiting for? It's Village Coupons. Contact Jim Savali at Village Coupons. Call him 631-988-5465 or email him inthevillagemedia@gmail.com. Get the attention that your business deserves with Village Coupons.
ti. No me puedes oír, no